The defending champions are in town, and we'll be telling you why this is a good test for the Mariners before October. Plus, Major League Baseball will operate a little differently in 2023. How will that impact the Mariners? We'll discuss here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everyone? This is take 4 of the Locked On Mariners podcast today. We've had some technical issues today. This show is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered all season long with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. It is Friday, September 9th, 2022, and thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all platforms with new episodes dropping every Monday through Friday. I am your host, Ty Gonzalez, joined as always by my co-host, Colby Patnode. We cover the Mariners over at InsideTheMariners.com. For Fan Nation over on the Sports Illustrated Network, be sure to follow the show on Twitter at LO_Mariners. Follow Inside the Mariners at Inside Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez, CaneGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. Be sure to also check out our Patreon over at patreon.com/Control the Zone. We post 2 additional podcasts on there every single week. Again, that is patreon.com/Control the Zone. And if this is your first time joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast, welcome to the show. If you like what you hear, give us a follow or subscribe wherever you're listening to this. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. On the show today, pitching matchup breakdowns and our thoughts heading into the Mariners weekend series with the Braves, including a player each we feel will be crucial to Seattle having a successful series. Plus, how will next year's rule changes in MLB impact the Mariners? And of course, as I said at the top of the show, this is take 4 for us today. We've been dealing with a little bit of everything that has impeded our recording. Hopefully this is the take. This is the one. If you're watching this, this is the one. Crossing our fingers. Before we hop into our topics, friendly reminder that we are doing a project here at the Locked On Mariners podcast, and we want you to be a part of a very special episode of Locked On Mariners later this month. We are asking you, our listener, to submit a roughly a 45-second to a 1-minute long video of you telling us who you are, how long you've been a Mariners fan, and what the Mariners ending their 20-year playoff drought would mean to you. Email us at lockedonmariners@gmail.com with your video submission, and if you get it to us by Friday, September the 16th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, or by 11:59 p.m. Pacific time on Friday, September 16th, you will be in the video, so please do so. Now, with that out of the way, I have said that spiel 4 or 3 times now today, so hopefully that was the last. Let's get into our topics for today. Our leading topic of the day is the Mariners are back. Mariners baseball is back tonight. Last night sucked. I would have much rather watched Mariners baseball instead of that really awful football game. Bills just absolutely smacked the crap out of the Rams, and the whole time I was sitting there watching that game, I was just thinking about how much I would rather be watching Robbie Ray dominate the Braves, and hopefully that will be the case tonight as the defending world champion Braves come to Seattle for a big 3-game series over this weekend. Robbie Ray versus Charlie Morton to start things off tonight. Then it's Max Fried, postseason and World Series hero for the Braves, against George Kirby. And then finally, Marco Gonzalez goes on the bump for the Mariners on Sunday against, to be determined, everyone's favorite pitcher. But it currently looks like that is going to be Jake Odorizzi, former Astro, who the Mariners saw in an Astros uniform earlier this year, who will be making that start. He had a bullpen session the other day, told a Braves reporter that the tentative plan is for him to make that start on Sunday. Obviously, things could get in the way of that happening, but for now, it looks like the Mariners will be facing Jake Odorizzi on Sunday. So, Colby, let's get into these pitching matchups. How do you feel they not favor the Mariners this weekend?
Let's go back a minute here because I got to call some people out on their lack of video submissions. All those all those people in the comments who like to call Colby negative and ask, is Colby even a Mariners fan? He hates this team so much. And here I am giving hours and hours and hours of talk on so many different podcast episodes about this baseball team. And we turn it to you guys and say, hey, how about you guys send us a 1-minute video of you saying, hey, I'm Colby. I've been a Mariners fan since 2001. And this is what the playoff drought ending would mean to me. That's it. That's all we're asking. And you can't even do that except for one person. Thank you very much. Forgot the person's name. Thank you very much.
I believe it was Mason.
Mason. Yes. So I don't know. A lot of keyboard warriors out there in the comments section calling me, I don't know, negative, or I'm not a real baseball fan. Even though, I do 2 podcasts and like 9 episodes a week and all this stuff. And here you guys are not willing to submit a 1-minute video saying, hey, I think it would be really cool if the Mariners broke their playoff drought. So I don't know, maybe go down in the comments section and complain about it. But, I'm up here recording stuff unlike you guys. So whose fault is that?
Called out.
Really?
Called.
Who's not the real
out.
Mariner fan now? That's what I thought. As for the pitching matchups, I think they could be worse. I think the Mariners match up okay here. I mean, Morton's been up and down all year. Ray has been kind of the same, but on a pretty nice run as of late. So you feel pretty good about tonight, at least in terms of the matchup. Fried, you're probably going to lose that almost regardless of who's pitching. He's just that good. He's that type of guy. But Kirby's been on a nice little roll too. So you do have a puncher's chance there. And then Odorizzi, the Mariners have seen him a lot recently. He's seen them a lot recently. They have a good idea of how he's going to attack them. And it's, if Marco's going to pitch against the Braves in this series, you probably want it to be against somebody like Odorizzi, somebody who, the Mariners, it's not Spencer Strider, right? Like it's somebody that the Mariners might be able to score some runs off of. So overall, the pitching matchups, I feel like they are like not ideal, but they're not bad. They're not terrible. It could have been a lot worse. But as it stands right now, you probably get the Braves a slight advantage heading into this one. But again, Morton's been up and down, and Fried is likely going to dominate. It's kind of lefty, premier lefty starter. Mariners haven't done too well with that, but it's baseball, and we've seen the Mariners, go to Dingertown on Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander, and eke out wins against Shane Bieber and Tristan McKenzie while losing to Zach Plesac. So it's just one of those things where anything can happen. This offense certainly has the ability to put up runs in a hurry. We don't see it often, but they've been okay recently. So we'll see what they can do. Overall pitching matchups, I would still say favor the Braves, but it's pretty close considering that you're not going to be able to throw Castillo or Gilbert at them in this particular series.
Yeah. So, at least that you're going to have Ray, you're going to have Kirby. That gives you, like you said, a puncher's chance at least here. And, it's going to be tough for those guys, though. This is a really, really stacked lineup for the Braves. This is why, I was saying at the top of the show, this is a big test. This is the biggest test that the Mariners can receive here from here on out before the postseason begins. Ronald Acuna Jr., Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies. The list goes on and on and on. This team, this offense is absolutely stacked. They are, 86 and 51. They're just a half game out from the NL East lead. Think about how good the Mets have been this year. The Braves have been able to keep in line with them. This is a very good team, and of course, the defending champions. Robbie Ray, George Kirby, they're going to have to be on their A game. This is probably the best lineup that George Kirby has faced. I don't know if I'm maybe missing someone, but this might honestly be the best lineup that George Kirby has faced. So that's a big test for him. And for Robbie, he's faced some pretty good teams, and it hasn't gone particularly well this year. And so would like to see a better start from Robbie. He's had some good starts as well. Don't get me wrong.
Mostly just against Houston.
Yeah, Houston. Houston is really the big one. Yeah. But yeah, so it's going to be a huge test for this team going up against a ball club like this. If they're able to get 2 out of 3, I mean, all systems are go. Like, I'm picking up what the Mariners are throwing down at that point. Right. But hey, if they're only able to get 1, I mean, You would like for them not to get swept here. It isn't the end of the world if they do. They still have a great cushion, but you would like to see them at least get one here from the Braves. And there's going to be opportunities to do that, and this team has played very, very well against really good teams, aside from the Houston Astros. Yeah.
I believe the Mariners have like the fourth best record in baseball against teams that were over 500 when Seattle played them. So, yeah, they're certainly the Mariners are good. It's just that the Braves might be great, and so we'll see. These matchups are always tough, but the Mariners bullpen should be pretty well rested at this point. The starting staff did a really nice job of going deep in the White Sox series at least, and they have the off day yesterday to kind of reset everything, and so hopefully that'll help. It's interesting. We heard Jerry yesterday talk about, we're going to start seeing Scott manage the bullpen a little bit differently. We're talking about guys going maybe 1 2/3 instead of just one, or maybe they go back out there to face another batter or two instead of just getting the last 2 outs. It's go time. So the Mariners are kind of making preparations, and they're starting to treat these games like they're the playoffs as kind of a playoff like scrimmage. I don't know exactly what word you want to use them, but they're going to start managing these games like they're playoff games, just kind of getting the flow of that style. And it's a really good test to try and do that against the Atlanta Braves, who are arguably, top 3 team in all of baseball.
So which player on the Mariners needs to have a good series in order for the Mariners themselves to have a good series? We'll be telling you that in just a moment, but real quick, it's time for everyone's favorite segment here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. It's time to talk about Blue Chew. Guys, we all know that confidence can take you far in life, and that's especially true in the bedroom, especially when it's time to step up to the plate. That's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. And the process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And the best part, it's all done online, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. And with Blue Chew, men everywhere are excited to see the postman, because when your package has arrived, your package has arrived. Come on, give me 5, fellas. So if you can benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, chew it and do it. You know what I'm talking about. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code LOCKEDON to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Colby, I heard some sort of noise while I was reading that, and I'm incredibly scared to watch this episode back to see what you were doing. Anyway, you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, and thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. You guys know what we're talking about here, right? Right. All right, so let's just move on from that. Let's talk about this series some more. Give me a player, Colby, who you think needs to have a huge series in order for the Mariners to have a successful series.
You're
going to say something like Abraham Toro or something, aren't you?
I think it's time for the fans to step up and, send us videos. I'm trying to figure out how many times I want to get burned by Jesse Winker before I stop picking him for this type of stuff. Yeah. Holy cow, the guy's been so bad.
I think you've picked him like whenever we've done a segment like this. I think you've picked him like every single time, and it's never worked out.
The track record has been so good, and then just like this, like, oh, he's gonna turn around. He has to look at that track record and just he's been better recently.
He's
but
no, I don't think I will.
Yeah, he swings the bat like, 180-year-old Steve would. So, I'm probably not going to go him. I think Mitch needs to step up and have a nice series. He's been in a little bit of a funk lately. And
Yeah.
he's, a critical piece of that lineup. If Julio is going to get on base and Ty France is going to get on base, and neither France nor Julio had amazing series against Chicago, but they had been swinging the bat very well in Cleveland. So I think if those two guys are going to get on base, you have to have the guy who can drive them in, and Mitch is that guy. Gino's on a little bit of a heater right now, which is great. The Mariners need him to be. But I think Mitch, just extending that lineup a little bit longer is something that is critical for this team's success. So I feel like Mitch needs to come up. He needs to have a good series. He just can Mitch Haniger hit like a single the other way with a runner on second and third? Like that would be huge. Like that would be massive. So it's just one of those things where I think if Mitch is going to have a good series, I think the Mariners have a legitimate shot to take 2 or 3 here from Atlanta, maybe even sweep. And obviously, if Mitch has a great series, but Julio and Ty France don't, who cares? But I think it's time for Mitch to step up. He's been in a little bit of a funk as of late. Of course, after I said he was 1 for his last 20 and people hated me for it, he went like 4 for his next 5. But after that,
he's 3 for his last 20. So that's not
ouch.
That's not very good. He was actually going to be my pick, but you picked him. So I had a couple of numbers there. Basically, Mitch is 3 for 20 over his last 20, and that's not ideal. So you need to get him back on track. He's going to be big for this.
Not gonna work.
He's going to be big for the series. Totally agree with that. I'll throw out Cal Raleigh. Let's see Cal Raleigh keep it going here. He's been pretty big over the last week or so, and just let's see him keep on that.
How many more games can you hop on that guy's back and expect him not to fall down?
That's true. But I mean he continues to go full Greg Jennings, man. Just don't deny
it feels like, Gino and Cal right now are carrying the other 11 dudes on their back. And the pitching staff is like trying to do their part too, but it's like, can somebody help these guys out? It's just one of those things where, and again, Julio was very good on the road. He wasn't good in that Chicago series. It wasn't terrible, but he wasn't great. And that happens. You can't expect everybody to be at their best at all times, but can you get 3 or 4 guys swinging it really well at the same time? That would be amazing. And you're probably going to need that in September. Or in October, I should say. So it's one of those things. Mitch is the one that I don't want to say I'm worried about Mitch, but he's the one that I have the least amount of confidence in. Is weird to say in regards to Ty France and Julio and Gino in particular, because I feel like we know exactly who those guys are. Mitch got off to a hot start, really slumping lately. There's a big question about whether or not he's going to come back. I think Mitch needs to have a big series here. And again, you're facing a bunch of tough pitching. Mitch is going to have to be the guy to kind of stir the drink and get things going. So I'll take Mitch here. This would be a great time also for somebody at the bottom of the lineup, not named Cal Raleigh, to step up. I mean, can Adam Frazier get on base?
That would be nice. That'd be nice.
That'd be nice
if Adam Frazier could do that. But yeah, I think, just my pick's going to be Cal, though, because he's going to be able to, he's your best chance of doing damage at the bottom of your lineup. So if guys like Adam Frazier, JP Crawford are able to, get on base a couple times in a game, Cal should be able to drive those guys in. And so, we'll have to see how, the game progresses and how much Cal plays this weekend. I would assume that it's at least going to be 2 of these 3 games. And, having that power at the bottom of your lineup against a team like this, you're going to have to be able to get the big home run in this series. If you're going to beat the Braves, you're going to have to get the big home runs. You're going to have to get those big, the plays that do damage in one fell swoop. You're going to need a big double. You're going to need a big bases clearing double. You're going to need a big home run, 3-run home run, something like that. Cal Raleigh can do that. And so, because it's look, the top 4 hitters, obviously those are the guys that are driving the train for you here, but they're not all going to hit in the same series. We haven't seen them really do that in any particular series. So you're going to need someone at the bottom of the lineup to do that. Cal's the hot hand right now. And, I think he has the best chance of any of these guys at the bottom of the lineup to actually do damage against someone like Max Fried or Charlie Morton.
It's certainly not going to be JP or Adam Frazier. So
They've been rough to watch as of late.
Right. Well, I mean, and even that damage, right? Like that's what we're talking about
yeah.
here. So it's one of those things. You're going to get in a situation where you're going to load the bases with 1 out or no outs this weekend. You can't just be sacrifice, fly, strikeout, ground out, and you get 1 out of it. And you're like, oh well, that's good. No,
you're not going to be able to win these games 2-1.
No, you're going to have to hit that double. You're going to have to, hit that 3-run home run. You're going to have to string together some hits at some point. And that's not just for this series. It's going forward. At some point, you have to, get that big hit and saying, oh, well, got the job done, productive out. It's not really a thing, especially when you have the bases juiced and there's 1 out and you hit a sac fly. Like 1 run's better than 0. But it's not impactful. 1 run usually isn't this massive, difference in a game. There's very few times where 1 run in that situation is a good outcome, like a great outcome is to get 1. So, and the Mariners for a lot of this, they've gotten 0 or they've gotten 1. And I can't even remember the last bases clearing double. So just one of those things. Somebody's got to step up, and I think Mitch is a good candidate because you talk about, can Frazier and JP and at the bottom get on? Can Julio and France continue pick up where they were on the road trip and all that stuff? And at that point it's up to Mitch. So we'll see how it goes. But they need Cal Raleigh and Gino need some help. And so does his pitching staff. So we'll see how it goes. But you never know when this offense just pops off for 11 runs. It happens every once in a while, and it's a beautiful thing to watch.
It really is. It really is. And it would be beautiful to watch against the Braves. That would be optimal. The opposite of suboptimal. All right, so let's talk about the MLB rule changes that basically got finalized today and how that impacts the Mariners moving forward in 2023 and beyond in just a moment. But real quick, a reminder, this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your #1 source for all your pro and college football betting needs and sports info this season. Find all the latest football league developments, game matchups, news, and podcasts, including this year's opening week's games. BetOnline is also your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. It is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline is where the game starts. So today, Major League Baseball finalized rule changes that we all expected to go into place in 2023. There were no surprises today. It's just that this has been finalized now. The bases are going to be extended by about 3 inches to nice, and in order to get players to be more active on the base pass, incentivize them to steal more bases, just get more motion on the base pass. Basically, that's what they're trying to accomplish with that. I think it can also open up for like base cams and stuff like that to be more of a regular part of the game as well. So it also kind of improves the viewing experience potentially. On top of that, the pitch clock is being implemented. We don't know exactly what time will be allotted for pitchers in the season.
We do.
But we do now? Oh, we do now. What is
15 seconds with nobody on base, 20 seconds with somebody on base.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Thank you for that. So 15 second, yeah. Feels a little light, but we've seen the returns on a pitch clock down in minor league baseball, and they're cutting down games by like 30 minutes, like 20, 30, even sometimes 40 minutes down in the minor leagues. So
less baseball. Yay.
Yeah. And then on top of that, the shift has been banned, which a lot of people are going to be very happy about. I am not one of those people necessarily. I think it's just a part of the game. It's a part of the strategy, but it doesn't mean that, you can't just, you can't do anything with your defense now. There will still be like particular defensive alignments that teams employ, but it's got to be two defenders on each side of second base now. Can't have, 3 guys out in left field, and you cannot be in the outfield grass either if you are a infielder. So that's going to cut down on that a lot, and I think that impacts the Mariners in quite a big way because the Mariners have some of the hitters that have been shifted against the most this season. There was actually a tweet that I saw. I bookmarked it. And nope, it's not there anymore. But Cal Raleigh, Jake Lamb, some of those guys have been at the top of the league in terms of getting shift for hitters that have at least 100 plate appearances this year. So that bodes well for those guys. But on the opposite end of things there, Colby, it also impacts the Mariners defensively in a negative way because their defense has been so good. And now, to me, I think this puts even more an emphasis on acquiring a middle infielder who actually has some range, because Adam Frazier has taken a significant step back defensively this year. And you're going to need someone that has more range, someone that can cover more ground naturally, because you're not going to have that help. So first off, what's your reaction to the rule changes? And then after that, what's your feel on how this impacts the Mariners moving forward?
Yeah, I like the bigger bases one seemed like a no-brainer for a while now. Stolen bases are incredibly exciting, but also bigger bases means maybe there's a slightly, better chance that Ty France doesn't get his elbow crushed backwards because there's more of a base for the runner to run to and for the first baseman to have. I still like the idea of putting another first base in. Kind of, we see that in fast pitch where there's two first base and one is for the fielder, one is for the runner. And it's to avoid injuries like that entirely. So I still think that is something they should explore, but this should help with that. It should help with some base running things. It's also worth noting that apparently they also passed the pickoff limit rule. You can only pick over twice in an at bat, and if you pick over a third time and you don't get the guy, then he gets a free base. I think that also includes stepping off once you step on the rubber. So obviously that'll change the running game as well quite a bit. So that's my favorite part of this. The shifts, I get what they're trying to do, but I also don't believe the argument that like, oh, well, without the shift, hitters will go back to cutting it down and just try to get singles. Really? You think after the home run revolution that hitters are going to go back and just try and, serve the ball through the 6 hole? No, they're going to still try and hit home runs. Pitchers stuff is still going to be incredibly hard. It doesn't sound like they're going to shrink the strike zone. At least not yet. They haven't announced that, which I think would have a bigger impact on balls in play and things like that, because you still want home runs, right? You still want home runs over singles. So it's one of those things. I don't think the shift is going to have as big of an impact on hitters' approaches as a lot of people seem to think, but I do think it will lead to a few more hits here and there throughout the game, which I guess is what MLB wants. And then, the pitch clock, I'm fine with it. I think it needs to be a little bit longer. I think there needs to be a grace period, especially early in the season, because that's a huge change for a lot of guys. So I think for me, I would say 18 and 24 seconds seems like a good place to be. And I would absolutely ban you don't need the pitch clock in the playoffs because, playoff baseball is all about the time in between pitches. That's what makes that sport special. So it's one of those things where I'm fine with it. I hope they're smart about it. They're not like super rigid about it, because the one thing that baseball has always been that no other sport is it's timeless. Could take 5 hours, could take 2 hours. We don't know. And it's all the space in between that makes baseball great. So in theory, I'm in favor of the pitch clock. I just hope that in a practical sense, the way they try to enforce it, there's some logic and some just common sense involved in how they regulate that. And I would like to see in the playoffs, I would like to see that go away.
So I found the tweet that I was talking about. This comes from James at Mr. James Johnson on Twitter, who did a little research on Baseball Savant. So Cal Raleigh is number 2 in most shifted against in all of baseball for all major league hitters with at least 100 plate appearances this year. Taylor Trammell is number 5. Jared Kelnick is 20. Eugenio Suarez is 41. Abraham Toro is 46, and Jake Lamb is 47. So that bodes well for those guys. And there's been a little bit of a meme on Twitter today that the shift ban is going to fix Jared Kelnick. Colby, is the shift ban going to fix Jared Kelnick?
No. Kelnick is a guy who actually hits the ball the other way a fair amount. Like it's not his biggest issue. His biggest issue is actually, the fastball up in the zone. And then he expands the zone to try and reach that pitch. So actually, if you want to fix Kelnick, I think you should be advocating for shaving, 2 or 3 inches off the top of the strike zone. I think that would actually help Kelnick quite a bit, because then he can eliminate that and he can get down into his power zone, which is, thighs to knees. So I think that is probably the fix for Kelnick if you're looking for, Major League Baseball to step in and save Jared Kelnick. So I don't think the shift is going to, I don't think we're magically going to see like, oh, now there's 50 guys hitting 300 all of a sudden. Like, no, that's not going to be a thing. So we'll see, though. I'm open-minded to it. I get what Major League Baseball is trying to accomplish. I just think changing the strike zone would accomplish more of what they want. But the pitch clock and the bigger bases, I'm in favor of. Again, I hope that there's some common sense given to the pitch clock rules. And I do think that they should be extended a little bit, particularly early in the year. There should be like until May 1st grace period, or May 31st, whatever it is. That just, to me, it makes a lot of sense. So
Cal Raleigh hitting 270 next year. Book it.
Okay. Gonna be kind of hard to do with his 35% strikeout rate, but okay.
I mean, the shift is going to fix everything, Colby. Like you said, there's going to be 50 billion hitters that suddenly hit 300 next year. That's exactly what you said, right?
Do we really want that? Do we?
I mean, Major League Baseball thinks the fans want more offense. So,
well, maybe more offense, but I don't think the fans are clamoring for more singles. Like, ooh, more singles, same amount of walks and strikeouts. Yeah. Walks and strikeouts are so
the line
much.
Moving. We want 40-minute long innings, half innings, and that's a quick way to like completely get rid of everything that the pitch clock does.
If everybody's just slapping singles the other way, and like, I don't know, man. Like,
got teams batting around twice in one half inning.
Are singles really that much more like thrilling than walks and strikeouts? No.
I mean, if it's Ichiro. But unfortunately, Ichiro does not play baseball anymore.
I mean,
even though he really wants to.
Do you want a guy who hits 220 singles and 15 doubles? Like, is that, or would you rather have a guy who hits 50 doubles and 150 singles? Like, I just, who are the teams going to pay? Are they going to pay the home run hitters, or are they going to pay the guy who's hit 310? I think we know the answer. Yeah, so good luck getting players to change their strategy, because they might make $7 million a year as a 310 hitter when they can make $25 million a year as a 30 home run guy.
Joey Gallo hitting 375 next year.
No joke. Joey Gallo will be like everybody's like fantasy baseball darling.
Oh yeah.
Shift. He's going to hit, he's going to hit for such a high average, and then he's going to strike out 36% of the time, walk 18% of the time, and hit dingers. Oh, it turns out he's the same player. No. His average went from 180 to 220. Like, oh, ooh, yeah. Watch out. We got Tony Gwynn over here. Like, what are we doing? Whatever.
All right. That's going to do it for this unhinged episode of Locked On Mariners. Thank you so much for joining us here. And for Colby Patnode, I'm Ty Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @hello_Mariners. You can follow Inside the Mariners at Inside Mariners. You can follow Dane Gonzalez. Yes, I had to clear my throat, sir. Does that offend you? Dane Gonzalez is spelled DANEGNZLZ, and Colby is at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. Hey, we need CPAT11 back. No, we don't. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. And thank you again for making us your first listen of the day. Now make your second listen the Locked On MLB podcast. MLB expert Paul Francis Sullivan brings humor, passion, and unique perspective on every team and the biggest stories around the league. Follow the #1 daily league-wide podcast, Locked On MLB, on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts, just like us. And with that, have yourself a beautiful baseball weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Peace.